Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Hockey Talk with TG podcast. I'm Ty Glenn. Hopefully, you guys are having a great Monday. A lot of NHL games to discuss this weekend. Lots of NHL news to tell. Before we get into that, I just want to know a few things, couple things. So Wednesday, there will be no episode of Hockey Talk with TG podcast. Of course, I'll be on Thanksgiving break. And Friday, there will be no episode of the Hockey Talk with TG podcast. So just wanted to let you guys know. I will say it again at the end of this episode because I know some of you guys might forget. But without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get into the highlights. So Sidney Crosby over the weekend, he got goal number 600 in the Penguins' 6-1 loss to Utah Hockey Club Saturday. He became the 21st NHL player to hit the mark in NHL history. Of course, other players to do it. The great one, Wayne Gretzky. Alex Ovechkin, who's currently trying to break that goal record of Wayne Gretzky's 894 goals. Gordie Howe did it. Jaromir Jagr, Brett Hull, Marcel Dion, Phil Esposito, Mike Gardner, Mark Messier, Steve Yzerman, Mario Lemieux, Teemu Selanne, Luc Robitaille, Brandon Shanahan, Dave Andachuk, Jerome McGinley, Joe Sakic, Bobby Hull, Dino Ciccarelli, Yari Curry, and of course Sidney Crosby right there. So he is in some elite company right there. Of course, he is the second active player to hit the mark after Alex Ovechkin, who did it on March 12th for 2018 against the Winnipeg Jets. And Sidney Crosby joined Mario Lemieux as the only Pittsburgh Penguins players to hit 600-plus goals in Penguins franchise history. Of course, Mario Lemieux has 690, and Sidney Crosby, of course, like I mentioned already, he has 600. In his career, Sidney Crosby, he has 1,617 points in 1,295 games played. So he's done a lot in his career. So 600 goals, 1,017 assists for 1,617 points in 1,295 games played. And this season, he has 21 points in 23 games played, so 8 goals, 13 assists for 21 points in 23 games played this season. And his 1,295 points are most in Penguins franchise history. And he is second in points and assists behind Mario Lemieux, who has 1,723 points and 1,033 assists. And he's averaged at least a point per game in each of his first 19 seasons, which he's tied with Wayne Gretzky right there for most in NHL history. He is a 3-time Stanley Cup champion, as you all know. He's won in 2009, 2016, 2017. A 2-time Art Ross Trophy winner. A 2-time Conn Smythe Trophy winner, those back-to-back Stanley Cup years, 2016, 2017. A 2-time Hart Memorial Trophy winner. He's won the Mark Messier NHL Leadership Award in 2010. He is a 2-time Maurice Vaca-Richard Trophy winner. A 3-time Ted Lindsay Award winner. So he adds the 600 goals to his amazing career and his unreal accolades right there. And the Penguins, they conclude their 5-game homestand against the Canucks Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Central Time. So far, Pittsburgh is 1-2-1 during their homestand. They lost 4 of their last 5 games. They're 7-12-4 this season, and they're last in the Metropolitan Division. So they look to close out this 5-game homestand on a good note Wednesday. But it's going to be tough when you're facing the team like the Vancouver Canucks. But let's see if they can get it done. All right, and breaking news coming out for Sunday, Jim Montgomery was hired as the Blues head coach, so he replaces Drew Bannister, who was fired as the St. Louis Blues head coach. So just 5 days after Jim Montgomery was fired from the Boston Bruins, he's now the St. Louis Blues head coach. And he signs a 5-year contract deal along with, like I said, being 5 days after being fired from from the Boston Bruins. And during Jim Montgomery's record with the Boston Bruins, he was 120, 41, and 23. And the Bruins, they got off to a bad start this season. They're 8-9-3. And so he was fired on November 19th and was replaced by Joe Sacco, who's already doing good so far with the Boston Bruins, going 2-0 against in his first 2 games ever since being hired as the Bruins head coach. And so Boston, during Jim Montgomery's time, they were 65, 12, and 5 during the 2022-23 season, which is the best record in NHL history. And they had 135 points and a .823 points percentage in Montgomery's first season. Of course, Jim Montgomery took home the Jack Adams Award as the league's top coach. And, of course, they lost to the Florida Panthers in that first round of 2023 Stanley Cup playoffs in 7 games. And then a year later, they win their 7-game series, of course, against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Not a surprise right there. Before losing to the eventual Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers in 6 games in the second round. For the St. Louis Blues side, they have missed the playoffs the past 2 seasons, and they only won the Stanley Cup in 2019, defeating the Boston Bruins in 7 games. With that, Jim Montgomery also coached the Dallas Stars from 2018 until he was fired on December 10th of 2019. 60, 43, and 10 record in 114 games with the Dallas Stars. Overall, he's 180, 84, and 33 in the NHL as a head coach. For Drew Bannister, he was 39, 31, and 76 as the Blues head coach after replacing Craig Berube on December 14th of 2023. With Springfield, he's 93, 58, and 19 as the head coach of the Springfield AHL team and guided them to consecutive Calder Cup playoff appearances, which included leading them to the 2022 Calder Cup final. Jim Montgomery will make his Blues head coach debut on Monday when the Blues head to MSG, Madison Square Garden, to take on the New York Rangers at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Another thing that happened this weekend, Joe Thornton, Jumbo Joe, his number 19 went up in the rafters. And, of course, the majority of his NHL career, he's played with the San Jose Sharks, 15 seasons with the Sharks. And in those 15 seasons, he's had 1,055 points in 1,104 games. So 251 goals, 804 assists for 1,055 points in 1,104 games in those 15 seasons with the Sharks. He's 3rd on all-time games played. He's 4th on all-time goals scored. And he's 1st on all-time assists. And he won the Hart Memorial Trophy and the Art Ross Trophy in 2006. Of course, he was traded to the Sharks by the Boston Bruins during the 2005-2006 season. And in that season alone, he's had 125 points in 81 games played. So 29 goals, 96 assists for 125 points in 81 games played. Of course, 92 of those points came with the San Jose Sharks, where he had 20 goals, 72 assists for 92 points in 58 games played with the Sharks. And, of course, the other 33 were with the Boston Bruins, where he had 9 goals, 24 assists for 33 points in 23 games played with the Bruins. Unfortunately, the Sabres came out with the win in Jumbo Joe's retirement night right there when his number 19 went up in the rafters. Alex Tuck had the game-winning goal in the 3rd period, which, of course, was a shorthanded goal that he scored. And Buffalo, liking the start from the Sabres, they have won 3 straight games and 7 of their last 9, and they moved to 11, 9, and 1 of the season. They have 23 points so far, and they're 3rd in the Atlantic Division. So, great start for the Buffalo Sabres. Of course, in this game, Rasmus Dahlin, he had a goal and assist for a 2.9. Peyton Krebs and Dylan Cousins scored for the Sabres, while James Reimer made 31 saves. For the Sharks side, Fabian Zetterlund and Luke Cunningham scored for San Jose, while Mackenzie Blackwood made 27 saves. And, of course, the Sharks not looking so good, but, of course, we kind of expected this. They have lost 3 in a row in 6 of their past 7, 1-3-3 during that span, 6, 12, and 5 of the season. And the Sharks, they continue their 4-game homestand against their California rivals, the LA Kings, Monday at 9:30 p.m. Central Time, while the Sabres return home to face the Minnesota Wild Wednesday at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Another game from this past weekend, Connor Bedard versus Mateev Michikov showdown. So, of course, it will be Mateev Michikov coming up with the OT GWG as the Flyers win 3-2 against the Chicago Blackhawks. So they win in a comeback fashion, and they move to 9-10-2 of the season. This is Mateev Michikov's second overtime goal in his past 5 games, and he's certainly playing great with the Philadelphia Flyers since being scratched. Of course, he is the face of that franchise, by the way. Also for the Flyers, Sean Couturier and Noah Case scored for Philadelphia, while Alexei Kolosov made 19 saves. And for the Blackhawks, Lucas Reichel and Patrick Maroon each had a goal and an assist, while Peter Mrazek made 34 saves. And, of course, the Blackhawks, they lost 4 straight road games, 0-3-1 during that span, 7-12-2 of the season. And as soon as Alex Vlasic took that penalty in overtime, I already knew, as soon as Alex Vlasic took that penalty for the Blackhawks in overtime, I already knew that game was over with. I already knew. I had a feeling in my mind that game was going to be over with for the Blackhawks and the Flyers were going to come out with the win. So I didn't even have to guess who was going to win in that overtime, because I knew it was going to be Philly ever since the Blackhawks took that penalty. Because knowing the Blackhawks, their penalty kill is bad. I mean, I think it's like 15th in the league, I believe. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe it's 15th in the league. And our power play is bad too. So our special teams haven't been working out well for us. And I'm a Blackhawks fan, as you guys all know. So I kind of keep up with these things as a Blackhawks fan, along with keeping up around the other news in the league. So our penalty kill and power play has not been good. So I already knew the Flyers were going to score on that power play. I didn't know who's going to get the overtime game winner, but I already knew the Flyers were going to win that game just like that. But for Mateev Michikov, he has 6 points in 6 games since being scratched for 2 games, November 7th and November 9th. So 3 goals, 3 assists for 6 points in 6 games right there. 2 of those goals were game-winning goals. Of course, not only did he have the overtime game-winning goal against the Chicago Blackhawks, but he also had the overtime game-winning goal against the Ottawa Senators the other game. Connor Bedard, he was held without shot on goal, so his goal drought continues. He's on a 12-game goal drought as of right now, and he only had 3 shots on goal in his past 5 games. Of course, the other night against the Florida Panthers, where the Blackhawks surprisingly came out with the win, he was held without shot on goal in that game too. But what can the Blackhawks do? What can Connor Bedard do to fix this struggle? And of course, the offense. Well, general issues with the Blackhawks offense: the lack of scoring depth. I mean, yes, they do score, but then they blow the lead just like that. So, I mean, not enough players are stepping up. And of course, Connor Bedard, he's trying to step up for the team, but he's on that goalless drought, like I mentioned. Of course, the struggles with transition play. They often struggle to move the puck effectively through the neutral zone, and they are limited with scoring chances right there. And like I mentioned earlier, the special teams have been terrible. I mean, we can't come up on a power play. We're 12th in the NHL on our power play percentage, so 20.8 percentage on the power play, 12th in the NHL, and our penalty kill has been good of late. We're 15th in the NHL with that. For Connor Bedard, one thing I would say for Connor Bedard is to switch up lines, which I believe Luke Richardson has already done. I mean, switch up lines, switch up line combinations, and then that should give him some scoring chances, because we saw Connor Bedard on that line with Jason Dickinson, and they were lining up just like that. But that line may not always work, and so Luke Richardson might have to go with something else. So that's one thing I would say for Connor Bedard, is just switching up that line. And of course, I feel like Connor Bedard should just stay focused on this game. I know he said in an interview where he wasn't really doing anything out there and he's not doing much. I believe that's false. I mean, he's trying to come up with some scoring chances. I mean, he's a great player. He's going to be the face of the Blackhawks franchise. So I disagree with what he said in his interview, where he said he wasn't doing nothing out there. the Blackhawks offense isn't doing nothing out there. But Connor Bedard, he's trying. He currently leads the Blackhawks in assists and points with 12 assists and 15 points. So he's doing all that he can to step up for the Blackhawks. But it's just the Blackhawks offense that isn't really doing as much. So I kind of disagree with what Connor Bedard has said in his interview, where he said he wasn't really doing nothing out there. So I think he should just focus on this game, get more scoring chances on there. Of course, the Blackhawks offense is going to have to play a factor in that, because I said off air dozens of times, I said on air a bunch of times that the Blackhawks offense needs to step up. So that's one thing I would say. And improving that neutral zone play. So, of course, the Blackhawks offense, they need to help. They need to have a strong transition to create more score chase opportunities for Connor Bedard as well. And, of course, Connor Bedard's hockey IQ can help him find better positions on the ice and improve his game overall. So, yeah, that's all I got to say about that. But the Blackhawks, they do return home to face the Dallas Stars Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Central Time, while the Flyers close out their 5-game homestand against the VGK Vegas Golden Knights Monday at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. All right, so the Predators, Jets, they pull away with the 4-1. The Predators pull away with the 4-1 win over the Winnipeg Jets, so therefore they move to 7-11-3 of the season. They won 2 of their past 3 games. Roman Josi, he came up clutch in this game, scored 2 goals. Jonathan Marchessault, he had a goal and assist for a 2-point night, while UC Saros made 23 saves in the win. For the Jets side, Adam Lowry scored the lone goal for the Jets, while Eric Comrie made 32 saves. In the Winnipeg Jets, they were playing a back-to-back set heading into this one. Of course, they were coming off of a 4-1 win over the Pittsburgh Penguins Friday, heading into that game Saturday. And they're 17-4-0 the season, coming off of that 4-1 loss to the Nashville Predators. They continue their 6-game road trip in Minnesota against the Wild on Monday at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Time, while the Predators head to New Jersey to play the Devils Monday at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. All right, Oilers, Rangers, 2 teams that I thought were going to be in the Stanley Cup Final the past 2 playoff seasons. But the Oilers came away with a 6-2 win against the Rangers Saturday, and they moved to 11-9-2 of the season. They won 2-1 in their previous 4 games, but no biggie. It means the Oilers, great team to watch. Connor McDavid, he had a 3-point night, coming out with 2 goals and 1 assist in the game. Leon Draisaitl and Evan Bouchard each had a goal and an assist in the game. And Vasily Pokinen and Darnell Nurse scored for Edmonton, while Stuart Skinner made 32 saves in the win. For the Rangers, Artemi Panarin, he only had those 2 goals for New York, while Jonathan Quick made 34 saves. And, of course, the Rangers have lost consecutive games for the first time this season. They ended their 4-game road trip 2-2-0. Of course, the wins came against the Kraken and the Canucks, but against the Flames and Oilers, 2 Alberta teams right there, they couldn't come up clutch. And so they moved to 12-6-1 of the season. But the Rangers, they return home at Madison Square Garden Monday to take on the St. Louis Blues at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Of course, Jim Montgomery will be making his Blues head coach debut. While the Oilers, they started a 3-game road trip in Utah to take on Utah Hockey Club Friday at 8 o'clock p.m. Central Time. All right, so for Sunday, of course, there's only 1 game on the slate for Sunday. The rest of the games that you just heard me say were games from Saturday. This one was Sunday, so there's only 1 game on the slate Sunday, and that was between Utah Hockey Club and the Toronto Maple Leafs. And the Maple Leafs, they hang on for the 3-2 win over Utah Hockey Club Sunday, and so they moved to 13-6-2 of the season. Mitch Marner, he came up twice. He scored twice in the win. So 2 goals in that game. I know that last part didn't make no sense at all. He has 8 points during a 4-game multi-point streak. So 4 goals, 4 assists for 8 points during his 4-game multi-point streak. William Nylander, he also had a goal and assist in the game. Fun fact, we got to see the Nylander brothers make their debut in Toronto tonight. So William Nylander and his brother Alex Nylander made their debuts. Of course, I think they were a fan of Toronto Maple Leafs. I'm not sure, but William Nylander, he's from Calgary, so I really don't know. But obviously, nice to see them play together on the same teams. Always nice to see both brothers Playing on the same team, of course, the Canucks, we had the Sedin brothers. New Jersey Devils, we have Jack Hughes, Luke Hughes playing together. And then, yeah, that's about it. But there was other brother duos that both played together for the same team, but I can't name them all right now. But it's always nice to see both the brother duos family play together on the same team. Joseph Wall, he came up big in this game, making 23 saves. And, of course, the Maple Leafs, they're 7-1-0 in their past 8 games without Austin Matthews. Overall, they're 43-20-2. So, no Austin Matthews, no problem for the Toronto Maple Leafs, but hopefully we get to see Austin Matthews back in the lineup soon for Toronto because obviously a key player for them as well. For Utah, Logan Cooley, he had a goal and assist for Utah Hockey Club, 2.9 right there. Jack McBain also had a goal, while Carl Vermelka made 27 saves in the win. And Utah Hockey Club, they were playing a back-to-back set heading into this game. They were coming off of a 6-1 win over the Pittsburgh Penguins Saturday, heading into this game. And Utah, they head to Montreal to conclude their 4-game road trip against the Canadiens Tuesday at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time, while the Maple Leafs head to Florida to take on the Panthers Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Central Time. All right, so impressions so far from the 2024-25 season. The Capitals, hot start to the season. So the Capitals, they're third in the Metropolitan Division, despite Alex Ovechkin being out with a low body injury. He's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks, but hopefully we get to see him back in the lineup soon because he's 27 goals away from passing Wayne Gretzky on the NHL's all-time goal-scoring list. He currently sits at 868 career goals. He has 15 goals so far this season, so hopefully we get to see him back in the lineup soon. All hockey fans in general can't wait to see Ovi break this goal-scoring record. And, of course, the team offensively coming up big, of course, from contributions from Dylan Strome, Connor McMichael, Tom Wilson, Alexei Prolis. So that first line for Washington, which has Alex Ovechkin, Dylan Strome, and Alexei Prolis, coming up big for them in some of these games. And, of course, we got to see strong performances in net from Charlie Lindgren and Logan Thompson. And the Capitals, they currently lead the NHL in scoring with 4.33 goals per game, which is a big reason in their success. For the Capitals, not the Capitals, the Flames. They had a surprising start to the season too. So, of course, last season, they missed the playoffs. They're showing no signs of slowing down this season, despite losing some key players like Jacob Markstrom. And the team has shown resilience with strong depth from their players stepping up. And their head coach, Ryan Huska, hopefully I pronounced that last name right. He's certainly coming up big for the team. Good coaching right there. For the Winnipeg Jets, nobody expected the Winnipeg Jets to have the season that they're having so far. They're 17-4-0 of the season with 34 points. They're first in the Central Division, and they're first in the league. Nobody expected this. I didn't expect it. You didn't expect it. Your friends didn't expect it. Your family members didn't expect it. Nobody expected this start for the Winnipeg Jets this season, unless you're probably a Winnipeg Jets fan and you want to believe that the Jets are going to do good and have a great start to the season, which they have. They have had a great start to the season. 17-4-0. And they're first in the league. I didn't expect it. First Central Division. Probably would have been one of the top 3 teams in the Central Division, as for my predictions, but not first in the Central Division. But they're showing no signs of slowing down despite their 4-1 loss to the Nashville Predators Saturday. But they started the season on an 8-game win streak, of course, which was snapped at home by the Toronto Maple Leafs. But in their first 16 games, they're 15-1-0 in their first 16 games, which is probably one of the best records in NHL history. And, of course, key performance from their players, from the top players, have been central to this red-hot start. Of course, key players like Mark Scheifele, who we could see on Team Canada for the 2025 Four Nations Face-Off event. Kyle Connor, who will possibly be on Team USA for the 2025 NHL Four Nations Face-Off event. Adam Lowry, and other players I can't name right now. And we've seen strong goaltending from Connor Hellebuck. Of course, Eric Comrie has been solid in some games as well. So, loving this start from the Winnipeg Jets. And Another great start. Buffalo Sabres, 11-9-1, third in the Atlantic Division with 23 points. And of course, they're on a mission. They are on a mission to end their long year playoff drought. And of course, that young core of Tage Thompson, Rasmus Dahlin, and Dylan Cousins, Bo Byram, Owen Power. There's more. And I said this off air if you guys didn't hear me. I said, well, you couldn't hear me because I was off air. But anyway, I said off air that the Sabres, they have a talented core. And I'm pretty sure you guys all know that, right? And one of my top 10 predictions for the season was the Sabres. They were going to end that playoff drought at the start. I said this at the start of the season. They will be in the playoffs in 2025. However, that's going to be subject to change. So we'll just have to see how the season goes with them. But overall, they have been really good this season. Like, I did not expect them to be third in the Atlantic Division. I mean, they probably could have been a wild card team when I said that they'll break their long year playoff drought. But third in Atlantic? Nah. But possibly a wild card team. I predicted they'll be a wild card team when I said they'll end their long year playoff drought. For the Nashville Predators, they had a surprisingly bad start to the season, which was a disappointing start. And nobody expected the Nashville Predators to have the start that they had. Like, they added big-time players. Adding Steven Stamkos, Jonathan Marchessault, Brady Shea, Scott Wedgwood, and a few other players. And right now, they're sitting 7th in the Central Division, and they're 7-11-3 so far this season. So, it's been a tough season for the Nashville Predators, but hey, there's always hope. They could possibly turn the season around. Of course, most of you probably won't expect that. I'm not expecting it. They just need to show it. Like, they just need to show it. Like, I won't believe it till I see it. They could turn this season around, but as of right now, I'm saying they're not going to be a playoff team. I won't believe it till I see it, is basically what I'm saying. All right, so NHL games on the slate. So a busy Monday today. 11 games on the slate. Not what you can expect from a Monday. I mean, usually on Mondays, there's only 4 or 5 games on the slate. It's not that many. But because it's the week of Thanksgiving, and Thursday's Thanksgiving, the NHL has decided to put 11 games on the slate. So I'm going to start off with Colorado Avalanche taking on the Tampa Bay Lightning, which will come on at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. 2022 Stanley Cup Final rematch right there. And then we got the Washington Capitals taking on the Florida Panthers at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Nashville Predators taking on the New Jersey Devils at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. St. Louis Blues taking on the New York Rangers 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Of course, that will be Jim Montgomery's head coaching debut with the St. Louis Blues. The VGK Vegas Golden Knights taking on the Philadelphia Flyers at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. And then we got the Dallas Stars taking on the Carolina Hurricanes at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Of course, that will be a potential 2025 Stanley Cup Final right there. Stars and Hurricanes. Could see it. Who knows? And then we got the Calgary Flames taking on the Ottawa Senators at 6:30 p.m. Central Time. Of course, that will be on Amazon Prime for Canada residents. So if you live up north in Canada, you will get to watch this game on Amazon Prime. Detroit Red Wings taking on the New York Islanders at 6:30 p.m. Central Time. And then we got the Winnipeg Jets taking on the Minnesota Wild at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Time. So Central Division showdown right there. And then we got Seattle Kraken taking on the Anaheim Ducks at 9 o'clock p.m. Central Time. And then we got a California Division showdown between the LA Kings and the San Jose Sharks coming on at 9:30 p.m. Central Time. So last game of the night right there. And of course, since it's going to be a busy week in the NHL with Thursday, of course, being off because of Thanksgiving, I decided to give you guys my top games to watch this week. So on Monday, we got St. Louis Blues taking on the New York Rangers. Of course, that'll be the Jim Montgomery's head coaching debut with St. Louis Blues. We'll see if they can come out with a win in that game. And then we got the Dallas Stars taking on the Carolina Hurricanes Monday. Potential Stanley Cup Final match right there. We'll see if it happens. Tuesday, we got the Vancouver Canucks taking on the Boston Bruins. So, of course, a 2011 Stanley Cup Final rematch. And so far, Joe Sacco has been on fire of late since being head coach of the Boston Bruins 2-0. We'll see if they can stretch it to 3-0. in Tuesday's game. And then Wednesday, it's just the TNT doubleheader between the Washington Capitals and the Tampa Bay Lightning. Come on at 6:30 p.m. Central Time. Then the game following that, the VGK Vegas Golden Knights taking on the Colorado Avalanche at 9 o'clock p.m. Central Time. So, of course, those two games will come on TNT, True TV, and HBO Max. Thursday, like I said, is Thanksgiving. Friday will be the Tampa Bay Lightning taking on the Nashville Predators. Of course, that game will be on NHL Network. The Lightning have won the first meeting of that game right there. Of course, now Steven Stamkos returns to Tampa. And, of course, they'll be meeting again for the final meeting of this season Friday. And, of course, the Pittsburgh Penguins taking on the Boston Bruins. Of course, this is a first of a TNT doubleheader for Friday. That game will be on TNT, True TV, and HBO Max. And then we got the Colorado Avalanche versus the Dallas Stars. So the game following the Penguins and Bruins game Friday, that game will be on TNT, True TV, and HBO Max as part of that TNT doubleheader. And then Saturday, Hockey Night in Canada Day. Montreal Canadiens taking on New York Rangers. That will be an afternoon game coming on NHL Network. And then we got the Toronto Maple Leafs taking on Tampa Bay Lightning. And then we got the Calgary Flames taking on the Pittsburgh Penguins. Of course, that game will air on NHL Network for U.S. residents. And then we got the Ottawa Senators taking on the L.A. Kings. And then the Edmonton Oilers taking on the Colorado Avalanche. So McDavid versus McKinnon right there. All right, guys. So that is going to do it for this episode of the Hockey Talk TG podcast. So thank you guys for tuning in as always. So just to note again, Wednesday, there will be no episode of Hockey Talk with TG podcast. Friday, there will be no episode of Hockey Talk with TG podcast. So hopefully you guys have a great Thanksgiving break. Hopefully you have a great Thanksgiving. And I will see you guys next Monday, for another episode of Hockey Talk with TG podcast. Remember, always keep God first. Be blessed. And I will see you guys next Monday, for another episode of the Hockey Talk with TG podcast. Take care.